www.rei-tv.com, home of the Flippin' Right Show. I am Nick Sifoni, your host. Thank you so much for showing up. You know, we're finally off and running. We're off to the races. I know it's been a long time coming. I haven't made one of these videos for a couple weeks because we were moving our servers and moving our web addresses and all that. We are in full-blown release right now. We've launched, baby, and now we've got a great membership, and it's free for you to jump into. I imagine you know that, because if you didn't have a membership, you wouldn't be here right now watching me. I do want to apologize for the couple slow weeks, but it was really worth it. And I am so glad to be back. We had so many problems, you know. I'm starting to think that web developers, guys that make websites, are kind of like contractors in a way. Don't pay them in advance. Anyway, that's the bad news. The good news is I had a big old thump end up at my front door the other day. And it was a noisy looking thing. And you notice I have my shirt on from Strategic Real Estate Coach, because this is the month of the short sale. I'll even ring the bell for the month of the short sale. I also got my little handy dandy backpack from Strategic Real Estate Coach as well. That's my friend Josh Cantwell. Now, the reason I say it's the month of the short sale, a couple days ago I sent you an email from announcing a free video series from Fawcett. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. You've still got the email, check it out. It's a free, like, 45-minute video on how to do short sales. And one of my goals here at rei-tv.com and the Flippin' Right Show is to make sure that you can be flipping right. So I want to find you as many free resources as I can to get into your grubby little hands so you can learn this business, hopefully for as cheap as you possibly can. Never try to say inexpensive. It's not an easy word. In any case, like I said, I've got my Strategic Real Estate shirt on. A couple days ago, I had this big thump at my front door. The doorbell rang, the dogs went nuts, the birds started screaming, and there was this great big package here. And come to find it out, you know, like I just mentioned, Fawcett has got all these free videos out there. Check out your email for the link, and also look down below. I'll give a little linky down right there in the writing part of this so you can go watch these free videos. They're absolutely outstanding. DC is giving all kinds of free information. Today's Newbie Tuesday, so I really want to target you new folks and kind of go into the steps of a short sale, the basics, just the pure basics so you understand the mechanics. You know, like I've always said, I really believe if you want to do this business, you have to get some kind of program from somewhere. Whether it's you find a mentor and you pay him, or you buy a program for a couple $100 and read the CDs, or listen to the CDs, watch the CDs, read the books, whatever it is, and follow it step by step. Don't try to jump into this business on your own. Now granted, a lot of you can't afford to go out and get a $5,000 or $6,000 boot camp, but really if you're serious about this business, you should be able to afford a few $100 program that'll teach you. Pick one thing, pick short sales, pick subject twos, pick wholesaling, whatever it is that turns you on, and then learn it and do it right until you're good at it. Then start looking at other things. But being that this is the month of the short sale, that's what I'm going to talk about. Now, basically a short sale starts out, for you new folks, it starts out like any other type of deal. It starts out by you just finding a property. In this case, we want to find a property that's in foreclosure, that's a couple months behind, if not 4 or 5 months behind. One of the beauties of a short sale is it lets us deal with numbers from our seller that are unrealistic. And you know, anytime you can get an unrealistic edge in business, it's a good thing. And when I say unrealistic, it's because we're getting the bank to discount that property. So if somebody has a property that's 4 or 5 or 6 months behind on their payments, the bank is ready to take that property back. They're ready to foreclose on it. They're ready to put it up at auction. In today's market, that house probably isn't going to sell at auction, and that bank is going to be stuck with another house. Some of these banks own more houses than that can make up a small city if they pick them all up and put them all in the same place. But in any case, these banks do not want these houses. They're overloaded with them. It affects their ability to loan. The more houses a bank owns, the less money they can lend. It has to do with regulations and all that stuff. But this is Newbie Tuesday, so I'm going to keep it light. So mainly, you find a property that's in foreclosure, and really, you just want to step in. This isn't a technique to use when you have somebody who wants to save their house. I mean, in my opinion, if they wanted to save it bad enough, they would have made the payment 6 months ago, right? Now, there are techniques you can use in that instance, and we'll talk about that on another show. But this is for somebody who wants to move out of their house. They're ready to move, but they don't want that foreclosure on their record. They just want to get it sold and get out, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get out of that house. In most cases, they're willing just to sign the house over to the bank and give the house back. And the way that works, but again, the bank doesn't want it, so we're going to pursue a short sale. Now a short sale, what happens is when the seller agrees, you have to get a contract to buy the house, but the seller has to agree to sell the house to you for whatever the best deal you can get from that bank is. So if it's a $200,000 house, the seller's not going to sell it for $200,000, obviously. If it was me, I'd be shooting for about $115,000, $120,000. Nowadays, you want to go as close to 50% as you can. Now, that may be unrealistic in some instances, but you really want to shoot low. The houses that work the best for short sales, although these aren't the only scenarios, but the houses that work the best for short sales are houses where there's 2 mortgages. And the bigger that second mortgage is, the better. Because what happens is, if a house has 2 mortgages on it, let's say a $200,000 house, there's a first mortgage for $150,000 and a second mortgage for $50,000. When that first mortgage forecloses and takes that house back, that second mortgage for $50,000, it goes bye-bye, and that bank loses it altogether. So the best prospects you can get for a short sale, not the best, but some of the best, are when there's a high second mortgage on the house. Because that bank, they know they're not going to get anything. They're getting zippo zilch, zero, not a none, nothing if that house goes to foreclosure. We just had one negotiated. We owed $27,000. We didn't, but the seller owed $27,000 on the second mortgage. They're taking $2,000. And that's typical. Usually they'll take less, but we're giving them $2,000. They're wiping off $25,000. So if you got a house that has a high second mortgage, cha-ching, because that's, even if the first, in most cases, even if the first mortgage won't play ball and they want the full amount, you whack that second mortgage away and you got equity already. Okay, so that's good. And a house that needs some work is usually a little bit better too, because if a bank is going to take back a house, they'd rather take back a house that needs no work. They'd rather take back a beautiful house that they could put up on the market and hopefully sell. So if it needs some work, you're kind of going to have a little bit better advantage too. But those are not obsoletes. Not obsoletes, that's not the right word. Those are not definites, that's not the right word either. But in any case, you can do short sales with a house that's a wreck, and you could also do short sales where there's 1 mortgage. But those make good criteria right there. 2 mortgages or a house that needs some work. Now you're going to get a contract to buy that house. The seller has to be willing to sell it to you for what he owes or what you can get from the bank. In a lot of cases, you don't even put, depending on whose program you're following, in a lot of cases you don't even put a price on that contract. You get that contract or the option to buy that house from the seller, and you leave that blank, and there's a clause in there that says the seller will sell the house for whatever the buyer will negotiate down with the bank. So whatever price the bank and the buyer accept, that's what the seller is willing to take for the house. The seller is also going to walk away with nothing. They don't get anything. Because if the bank is going to take a loss on this house, they don't want that seller walking away with any cash. So your seller has to pretty much be ready to just act like a little bird and fly away. Or act like a banana and split, I must say. So in any case, you get that contract, and there's other forms involved. You have to have a seller that's really willing to work with you. He's going to have to be willing to do a little bit of work to get this foreclosure off his record. And you know, it's much better just to have late payments on your record than have a foreclosure. But he's going to have to, you know, the seller's going to have to provide a letter explaining the situation and why he can't make these payments. He's probably going to have to come up, this is all for the bank, part of what's called a short sale package. The bank is going to say, here's the paperwork we want. It's called a short sale package. Have your seller fill this out and then we'll consider it. And they're going to want their last 2 years tax returns, the last 2 months bank statements, and if they have a job, last 2 months pay stubs and that type of thing. Along with some other types of paperwork. And whatever program you're following, it'll be in there. It's not a whole bunch. The first time it seems like a lot, but it gets easy after you do it. After you get that first 40 or 50 or 80,000 bucker check, that paperwork ain't nothing to be filling out. So, so now you go negotiate with the bank. There's a department in the bank called a loss mitigation department. And they basically mitigate loss. They're there to help not have foreclosures. Again, they don't want the house. So you're going to contact that, and I'm not going to go into how to negotiate with the bank. Again, this is Newbie Tuesdays, just to give an outline for you new guys on how short sales work. But you contact the bank, you discuss with the bank, with the loss mitigator, and you get that price down to as low as you possibly can. Because let's face it, the lower you get the price down, the more cashola you're going to ching with at the end. So now meanwhile, these negotiations usually take 2-3 months. You're usually, you know, the bank, it's not like you call the bank and say, I'll give you 110, and they say, okay. You know, it takes a little bit of time to get these negotiations done. They're going to play their game because they want to get as much as they can. You want to get as little as you can. So they're going to tell you things like, we don't do short sales here. Well, why do they have a loss mitigation department if you don't do short sales. You don't say that to them, but that's the bottom line. So stick to your guns, act professional, and again, learn how to do it. Get somebody's program. Hook up with DC Fawcett, or with Strategic Health Coach, or with Short Saleology at www.rei-shortsales.com and get some training if you really want to do short sales. It's worth every dime, or even every penny. So you're going to negotiate with the bank, get the price down. While you're negotiating, you're going to start selling this house. You're going to start finding a buyer for it long before you accept the price with the bank. Our preferred method is to do an auction. And if you go right up there, or is it up there? If you go right up to one of those sides, there's a little clicky, and you can click on a day in the life, and you'll actually see me doing an auction on a house that we did a short sale with. So if you want to learn how to do an auction or see some of the basics, go up there and click on a day in the life, and you'll see a video of one of those auctions. So we do an auction, or you just put it up for sale. You can even have realtors. You can even list it on we do all of it. We do an auction, we list it on the MLS. We want to drive a bunch of people to this house, and we're going to offer a discount. We're not going to try to get the highest dollar we can on this house. We know we're getting a sweet deal. We want to offer a sweet deal to some other buyer who wants to buy it from us and move their family in and get a good price on a house, because our goal is to find that buyer before the bank gives us, before we settle with the bank. So then you're going to do a double close. You're going to find your buyer. The bank's going to say, okay, we'll take $120,000 for that $200,000 house. You're going to find a buyer to pay you maybe $160, $165. And again, the numbers you got to learn. You got to feel out your market. It's a little different everywhere. But then you do a double closing. The first, on the same day, back to back. The first closing is when you buy the property from the bank. Now you own the property. The second closing is when you sell it to your end buyer. So you buy the property from the bank for $120,000, and then 10 minutes later you sell it to the other guy for $160,000, and cha-ching, you walk away with a $40,000 check. There's more to it than that. Obviously, you're probably saying, well, where am I going to get $120,000 to buy it from the bank? There's services that'll do that. Look on our freebie page. There's going to be one on there soon, but there are places that'll lend you the money for one day for as little as 3 or 4% of the amount of it, just to help you flip it. So you borrow the money for one day. They don't even check your credit. You buy it from the bank. The same day you sell it to the other guy, and you keep the spread, and it's a beautiful thing. And in the way the market is today, with foreclosures everywhere, you can do this right and left. I suggest you take advantage of short sale month, jump on the short sale wagon, and make it happen. You want to systemize, though. And I want to mention this too. You got an email from me yesterday telling about a box that I got from Josh Cantwell from Strategic Real Estate Coach. And Josh is giving away all kinds, oh my God, Josh is giving away all kinds of stuff. When I say all kinds of stuff, I sent you an email yesterday or a couple days ago, depending on when you're seeing this. I'm also going to put the URL, the web address down below here, where you can go and get video after video about how to do short sales. Josh is giving away these videos. I don't know why, but he's giving away these videos, and something big is supposed to be happening at the end of the month. He sent me this 500-page manual that is absolutely unbelievable, because he wanted me to check it out, and I never took that off. Look at this thing. I mean, it's like 500 pages or more. Oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of CDs in the back too. There's a whole bunch of CDs in the back. This is a whole manual and a whole bunch of CDs teaching how to do short sales. Josh sent it to me for nothing, but right now he's giving away a whole bunch of other freebies. So go to that link this morning. Now there's a little contest. There's a handful of us that are promoting this for Josh. We're telling other people. There's a handful of investor trainers that are telling their lists, their viewers, their students about Josh's program to help Josh promote it. And we're kind of challenging each other to see who could have the most people go to that URL down below and put their name and address in, name and email address in, to get the free videos. Now, towards the end of the month, I don't know what else you're going to get for free, but there's a rumor that Josh is going to be giving some really cool stuff to people towards the end of the month, but I don't know yet what it's going to be. So help me out. I mean this. Help me out personally. Go to that link down below, and you're going to get an email that's going to show you where to watch these free videos on how to do short sales. And later in the month, something, I don't know what it's going to be, is coming out that you can get your hands on, I think, for nothing. and I think it's a big thing, and it's going to land with a boom on your desk, although I really don't know what it is. So stick up your guns for me, though. We're a small group here at REI TV. We're not as big as some of these gurus that have 50,000 people on their list. We're a small, tight-knit family. Help me out. Let's see if we, with our little list, can blow those guys away. Go to that URL below. Put your name and email address and watch those videos. Learn something for free. And I don't know what it is, but later in the month, I hear Josh is going to be sending out some really cool stuff. So, again, thanks for watching. Primetime members, we have our first call this week, our first question and answer call. Watch your email address. If you're not a Primetime member, you should be. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick. This is REI-TV.com, The Flip and Right Show. Now go make an offer.